From an energetic Bellows Free Academy in downtown St. Albans, Vermont, this is high school basketball on Northwest Access TV. Good evening, friends. I'm Wesley Kempton alongside Bryce Batchelder, and it is one of the most anticipated matchups of the basketball season, the BFA Bobwhites against the MVU Thunderbirds. This is the only time that these two teams will play one another this year. And Bryce, a great night and a great crowd on hand to witness this matchup.
Well, I mean, the first time we've been able to have a crowd for an MVU BFA basketball game in 2 years. I think both schools are ready for it.
And early in the season, we're still early in terms of figuring out what sort of identity these two teams have, as MVU comes out firing. The first shot no good from MVU's Connor Nielsen, one of two juniors rather in the starting fold. Juniors are going to be heavily featured in this contest, though it is a senior who gets the first bucket of the contest. Justin Brown down low for BFA. They have the early 2-0 lead.
That was a great find from Charlie Yates attacking the key. Justin Brown just slipped right behind MVU's defense. Wide open layup from the block. Great find by Charlie Yates.
Bryce, we were talking before the contest. Several key players to watch in this one. Justin Brown, certainly one of them. He's an impact player, and you saw the impact less than 30 seconds into the contest. But who are some of the other players to watch for? Let's start with the Thunderbirds, who are on offense right now.
Well, Ray Fournier is certainly one. You'll see him. He's, I think, one of the taller players on the court as Justin Brown gets the steal. The MVU, with losing kind of their three-headed monster from last year, of course, there's going to be a little bit of development that has to happen with some of their other players to find out kind of who's going to be their go-to scorers in a pinch, as Charlie Yates scores that one for BFA. But kind of a young developing team here for MVU.
Charlie Yates, as you mentioned, scored, and both of BFA's early baskets have come inside. They've got the 4-point lead, and a body foul being called from Justin Brown. And talk about the three-headed monster that MVU had last year, and it might be even more than that for BFA this year. Several really talented players on this year's roster. Justin Brown, obviously, Charlie Yates, Noah Earl, one of the best guards that you will see in the state of Vermont. And then on the bench, you have Seth Richards, one of the best big men that Northern Vermont has to offer.
Seth Richards had a huge game against Milton last week, scored 17, all of them coming in the second half. Interesting to see him coming off the bench tonight. He started that last game. But two players you mentioned for BFA, Noah Earl and Seth Richards, those are guys that, have been watching the last couple of years, kind of knowing that they were going to develop into something special. We're finally getting to see them really showcased here on the varsity side. But also, the MVU, we also have to mention Hazen Luno, of course, the senior and a captain coming back. So I'm sure Fournier and Luno will be two main guys for the Thunderbirds. But Bobwhites have a good team together this year.
The Bobwhites have already stolen the ball twice as Yates in transition gets another lay-in to fall. 6 points for the Bobwhites in the early going, all of them layups.
And 4 of them from Charlie Yates.
And Missisquoi gets their first bucket of the night. Hazen Luno, who you mentioned, will be one of the players to see. He is a captain. He's the center for this Thunderbird squad, and he's going to be called upon mightily in this contest. He's going to have his hands full matching up against Brown and also Richards off the bench.
Well, one thing's for sure here. MVU might want to consider switching out of their zone. BFA is just getting behind that zone multiple times so far. They might need to switch into a man.
And a charging foul called on Noah Earl. Aggressive drive, but the defense was set. And we have our first substitution of the contest, Caleb Surprise, checking into the contest for MVU. 2.5 minutes gone by in this first quarter as the Bobwhites lead at 6-2. Surprise being guarded by Earl. Interesting, Bryce, that BFA has come out in a full court press. Their defense obviously effective with 2 steals in the early going, and we'll see if MVU is going to try to slow the pace a little bit and maintain some better control.
Well, I mean, that's, I think you're hitting on exactly what BFA is trying to do. They have control of this game so far. They want to make MVU have to play faster and force them into those mistakes, and it's been working so far. But on that last possession, good, good for MVU for breaking that press and kind of slowing it down a little bit and trying to get themselves calmed down a bit.
Good control on that drive from Earl as he's able to draw a foul on Hazen Luno, his first and the team's first, as Earl misses the first off the front iron. And we see the reason that surprise came in was that Connor Nielsen, the junior forward for the Thunderbirds, I don't know how it was, a finger or something, was able to cut his thigh, and so he's going to get bandaged up before returning to the contest.
One thing I think you'll see, BFA is not the greatest free throw shooting team, so honestly fouls might be a weapon for MVU if they get down big.
Well, and it's interesting, Bryce, as we think about these last couple of matchups between these two programs. We mentioned this is the first time that fans have been in attendance for the last 2 years. However, as we recall the matchup at MVU last year, free throws were perhaps the biggest part of that game, where BFA could not have bought a free throw, just really struggled, still able to escape with a victory in that contest. But both teams struggling at the line in the early going as Luno goes off the back iron in his first attempt. And on his second attempt, and coming the other way, good ball movement from the Bobwhites. How about that? Around the horn as Earl misses. Offensive rebound and the putback good. 8-2, the Bobwhites lead thanks to that putback from Connor Leach.
BFA is dangerous in that transition. We saw that against Milton last week. They got a lot of their points beating Milton down the floor. If BFA can get that transition offense going, MVU is in trouble.
Surprise being guarded by Earl. Earl, terrific hands as a hand foul being called on Yates. Inside. Trying to reach on Luno. And bandaged up. It looks as though Nielsen is set to return to the contest. And he's going to give Ian Digby a breather. Digby, the senior guard. The other starters, by the way, for the Thunderbirds, Luke Fuenyer, a senior guard, and Connor Nielsen, Ray Fuenyer, and Hazen Luno. Here's a three-pointer, just inside, and that's Luke Fuenyer.
With a little fadeaway shot, too. He was fading backwards a bit.
And the first turnover of the contest for the Bobwhites. And another turnover for the Thunderbirds.
It's early season, Wes.
It is
early season. You almost wish this game came later on when both teams were sort of fully in form. But, we'll take this game when we can get it.
How about that? Assist from Richards and a great finish from Thomas DeMar. 10-4, the Bobwhites lead halfway through this first quarter as Ray Fuenyer trying to find a slice through the zone, the full court defense rather, and another turnover. It was a carrying violation on Connor Nielsen.
That last play for BFA, what a find for Richards, but also what a move for DeMar. Had a little Euro step, but knowing exactly how to split those two defenders, and nobody was behind them, so he just had an open layup once he got past them.
DeMar goes outside. And a good drive, but no finish. It was a drive from Liam Horgan, number 20, who has checked in. Loose ball foul being called against BFA. 5 team fouls, rather, for the Bobwhites. William Hughes, the lone underclassman. Scratch that one. It took a second to update the numbers. Didn't think he was in there. Thomas DeMar, and it's Thomas DeMar's first foul, the 5th team foul. And another steal. Here's Horgan with the left hand, gets it to go. 12-4, the Bobwhites lead.
That's how quick it can turn. MVU had pulled within 4. If Ray Fuenyer just had a little more hops on that one. We're going to get a carry. But how quickly it can change. MVU had pulled it 8-4, close game, and then another 4-0 run for BFA. Now makes it an 8-point game, and even mentally, that's a little tougher to overcome than just being down 4.
Well, and you see the difference. We talked about MVU is going to try to slow the pace down. And BFA is so comfortable running the floor and very confident as well in their transition game. It's certainly a strength of theirs and a complete mismatch in this rivalry this year, at least, this year's iteration of it.
Yeah, I mean, MVU has a little bit of height to match up with Fournier and Luno. The problem is neither of them have any bulk whatsoever, right? And so I mean, when they're trying to match up against, Seth Richards, who's just always going to be the tallest guy on the floor, and, he's built. And then also Justin Brown is built, and Yates is strong. Noah Earl is crafty. That's going to be just so tough for the Thunderbirds to match up when they don't quite have that same strength, and most of their players don't have the height. And also, what helps BFA is that at least Noah Earl, who's one of the taller guys on the team, he can handle the ball, right? He can play outside. He can pull up for three, and that's a tough matchup for teams, especially in Vermont high school basketball, to try to match up with.
Yeah, and an exceptional defensive edge for BFA as well. That
Absolutely.
Earl is going to be guarding the one for any team that they play. And how stifling that can be for most teams who are not accustomed
Absolutely.
to a player with his sort of defensive vision.
Now, it was helpful against a team like Milton with Colin Mathis, who is also, he's a point guard, but also one of the tallest guys on the floor, but MVU doesn't quite have that type of point guard on their roster.
Earl with a quick head fake, spins around, almost has it taken away, goes to Richards. Richards with the flush! And it's a 10-point lead for the Bobwhites, 14-4.
Well, that's, one of the advantages of having the crowd back this year. You have a dunk last year, and it's cool. This year, you really get the crowd behind you when that happens, as Richards going to get called for a reaching over Hazen Luno. But, I mean, who's going to be able to guard a dunk tonight?
Yeah, Earl to Richards is a really difficult matchup to stop, and now you add Justin Brown. Justin Brown took a breather there before we could really elaborate on how versatile he is for the Bobwhites. But he is a talented big man and also able to carry the ball as well.
Yeah, he's kind of an energy guy. He really is able to run the floor, especially when Earl and Yates are on the bench, a guy that they trust.
Surprise, looking around.
But for what it's worth, Seth Richards last year, he's splitting time between JV and varsity. He's a junior this year. But last year when MVU and BFA's JV teams played, and MVU's JV team last year was ridiculously good, as Noah Earl misses that one. But Seth Richards went in there and just ate them up. I mean, nobody could stop him. So, I'm excited to see what he can do here on varsity against some of those same players.
A real sloppy exchange here as the Thunderbirds come up with it and try to slow it down a bit. Luke Fournier, the senior guard, getting some level-headed perspective. Under a minute and a half to play in this first quarter. MVU trails 14-4. Fournier pulls up from the elbow, hits the bottom of the net, and another turnover as it gets stolen away by Thomas DeMar. And there's that Euro step again and the finish from DeMar. He's got 4, and his team leads 4-fold over the Thunderbirds. Under a minute to play in this first quarter as Luke Fournier being guarded by DeMar. DeMar and Yates each with 4 points, and a good drive from Luno, but he can't get the finish. Awkward fall there for Justin Brown, who is on the ground, and
I think he
winced for a little bit, hobbling here as he gets up.
I think he landed on Thomas DeMar's foot.
Goes straight to the bench. He walked off in his own power. But the face that he made when he hit the ground was a bit unsettling. .44 seconds in this first quarter as we have some new faces on the court for BFA. Zach Reese, number 11. You see in the far corner, the ball handler right now, number 15, William Hughes, goes over to Reese. Rice. Good body fake and good hands. A jump ball is being called as Surprise got his hand on it. And since, you're right, Bryce, since Isaac Gratton, number 30, came back down with it, a travel. And a rare turnover for the Bobwhites.
It's good on MVU's defense for collapsing right on that foul line.
Luno picks up early, but went over to Fuenya. Fuenya travels. Even when MVU is getting opportunities, they are not doing themselves any favors. The amount of turnovers that they've had in this first quarter would be a respectable game total for a lot of teams.
Well, I know, Luno might have taken off a little bit early, but he still had a wide open look at the basket if he just kind of put up a little bit of a floater. So a little too unselfish there, even though most coaches will applaud that folks are looking to pass. But that time, got to know your opportunity.
At the end of the quarter, Richards unable to get the finish. Luno got the rebound, but 16-4 is our score after 8 minutes of play. MVU not doing themselves any favor and not able to get many good opportunities against this BFA defense. And on the other side, BFA offensively, when they have been able to drive inside, they've been able to finish somewhat with ease. Most of their points coming right next to the basket. The leading scorers through the first quarter, again for BFA, Charlie Yates and Thomas Tamar with 4 points apiece, and the 4 points that MVU has coming from Luke Fuenya and also Hazen Luno. At this time of the quarter break, we'll take a moment to thank our sponsors, Northwestern Orthopedics, Collins Pearly Sports and Fitness Center, Barrett Ford, JC Image, and Handy Toyota. If your business would like to be a sponsor for Northwest Access TV sports coverage, you can contact us at 802-782-8676.
Well, and top scorer, Seth Richards only has 2 points, but it was on a dunk, so, extra style points, for that one. But, this might be a lopsided game here. MVU, they're not getting a ton of movement even in their half-court set when they are able to kind of slow things down. It's good that they can slow things down and kind of settle down a little bit. They need more movement when they do get in their half-court set. Everything that's developing is developing just a little bit slow, and so BFA really gives their defense a chance to read where the passing lanes are going to be and force some turnovers. And BFA offensively, they're just kind of at a different level, even though right now we see a turnover as I'm complimenting BFA's offense, announcer's jinx. But they swing the ball super well. They're getting behind MVU's zone. I'm wondering if MVU's going to try to do a little man-to-man here, even though that's tough with some of the matchups. And especially in transition, BFA is just really good with that transition offense and finding open players.
Luno able to draw a foul on Seth Richards. I believe that's Richards' second already. It'll be the 7th team foul for the Bobwhites, and so Luno, who has missed 2 free throws, is at the line shooting 1 and 1. First one is true. And he is now 1 for 4 at the charity stripe today. 16-5 is our score. And big contact there, but a blocking foul before the shot. It was in the driving effort from William Hughes, the sophomore. Impressive that, again, William Hughes, the only underclassman on this BFA roster. And when he is in there, he is the primary ball handler and guarding the point guard for the opponents as well. I think it'll be interesting, BFA going small for the first time without Brown or Richards in the court, and we'll see if they're going to try to go for speed here.
That is
difficulty getting the ball inbounds.
That is an interesting move, just knowing how much BFA can exploit those height mismatches, but let's see what this lineup can do.
A three-pointer, no good, but an offensive rebound from Hughes. Goes outside to Earl, fouled as he went outside to Earl. Fouls on Missisquoi's Ian Digby. His first and the 5th for the T-Birds. Hughes goes up top. Interesting, even though we mentioned they've gone smaller, they still go inside as another lay-in. Liam Horgan, his second bucket of the game, 18-5. BFA leads now. And MVU has had several turnovers just trying to get the ball inside. This time it wasn't the defense that poked it away. It was thrown away. High pass from Fuenier.
Malachi Unwin-Jackson was open in the corner. They'd just seen him.
Earl with a big step. Couldn't finish with the left hand. The rebound comes to Mason Noble.
I appreciate that no call that the referee decided on that one.
I agree, but you know that Earl has the savvy to, he's trying to get that call.
Yep.
It's worked for him once in this contest, once against him. But he's certainly very intentionally forcing that issue. Unwin-Jackson gets it across the timeline. Hard to find a recipient. Goes over to Fuenier. Fuenier on that right side has been a welcome passing recipient, but unfortunately, he has been the owner of a lot of turnovers.
This is a mix of MVU waiting a little bit too long on their decisions for when and where to pass, and also BFA's defense is just absolutely stifling them. It's really aggressive, and they're just reading all the passing lanes perfectly, especially when MVU's trying to get the ball down low. Their post defenders not even fronting MVU, but still able to get hands in there and knock them away, and not able, MVU just not letting MVU get really any open looks except for a couple three-pointers. But I think if you're Coach Menard for BFA, you'll live with letting MVU shoot some threes, even if they make a couple.
Well, you saw just a moment ago, Unwin-Jackson picked up his dribble and had almost no options of where to pass the ball. And that's BFA, obviously, they're going to have great options offensively and defensively with their height inside. But what tends to be forgotten by their great bigs is how stifling their exterior defense is. That the guys who are guarding the ball are making it almost impossible for MVU to get the ball inside. No three-pointer that time from Liam Horgan, who airballed his last one. And Earl, before the shot, is able to draw a foul. It'll be the 6th team foul for Missisquoi. A couple of subs. Good news for BFA is Justin Brown able to check back into the contest. He replaces Liam Horgan. Three-pointer from the corner. Off the iron, Brown with a big rebound, one dribble, spin, blocked from behind. And let's see if MVU is able to turn that defensive positivity into some offensive momentum. Fuenier able to get an inside shot off. Unwin-Jackson can't control it. Here comes BFA the other way. Brown baseline draws a foul. He'll be shooting 1 and 1. Blocking foul on Taylor Desatel, his first. No good, and a big rebound for Unwin-Jackson. Outside, and a three-ball falls for Mason Noble.
Still one of those shots you can live with for if you're BFA, but maybe a three-ball will give MVU a little bit of life here.
Well, already in less than 3 minutes played of the second quarter, they've got as many points in the second quarter as they did in the first, though that's not saying a ton, as they were outscored 16-4 in that first quarter. Nice little floater, and that's going to fall. How about that shot from Ian Digby? His first bucket of the game, and MVU in double digits now, 18-10 our score.
You know, and I talked about earlier how MVU's offense is just developing a little bit too slow. That's a perfect example of when Digby got the ball. He knew exactly what he was doing and made his move quick, and a really nice floater. So, you know, when you're decisive and you move a little bit faster, some good things can happen here for the Thunderbirds. Now, I mean, within at least a single-digit deficit here. So, you know, I'm hoping the Thunderbirds can make a little run here, make the game interesting.
Well, a very positive series of events for the Thunderbirds. The three-pointer, the floater from Digby, and then Ray Fuenyer getting his hands on the ball and forcing the jump ball and the turnover change. A turnover avoided for the Thunderbirds there. As Earl's hands continue to make it difficult for every ball handler. Unman Jackson for three, no good, but the offensive rebound from Digby. Trees around him as Fuenyer goes outside, but a 3-second violation, I believe, on Luno.
Well, I'll just say, as someone who has always been one of the shorter guys on the court whenever I play, if I ever got an offensive rebound down there, I'd still try to shoot over everybody who is much taller than me, and I would always get blocked. So props to Digby for having the presence of mind to try to pass the ball out and give his team a chance here.
To translate what you just said, it's less a recognition of him for having the presence of mind, more just
an
for
indictment
being smarter
of me.
than you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. Well, and there's another Digby highlight as he gets the steal on the inside pass to Richards. What a series for him. Offensive rebound, floater, and then a steal. But a steal right back for the Bobwhites in transition. One dribble, a step, and can't get the finish, but a foul as Thomas DeMar is going to go to the line shooting two. 8th team foul for the Thunderbirds. It is going to be the third personal foul on Ian Digby. Well, I'm glad we just saw his highlight reel so quickly because he's probably going to take a seat for the rest of this half. For the Thunderbirds, Luke Fuenyer and Mason Noble check back into the contest. A free throw converted for Thomas DeMar. He's got 5 points. And he hits both of them. Good for him. It's rare in this contest. It's rare in this day and age.
This generation and their free throws.
These children don't understand the importance. I mean, it's free.
And you get to throw something, you know.
It's a charity strike. And I understand the reluctance that some have in accepting charity. But it's free. Here's Brown. Was able to really wisely take it inside and draw three defenders, kick it around, get some space, but the Bobwhites not able to connect on the outside shot. They've missed all of their threes thus far. Here's a three-pointer for the Thunderbirds, rimming out, and another rebound for DeMar. With the left hand going inside, and a blocking foul, and Richards came down awkwardly on Fuenyer. Fuenyer seems to be okay. The foul, by the way, was on Fuenyer, if that's correct.
Is that really number 4?
That seems like I've missed a few, if that's accurate. The scoreboard says that is Ray Fuenyer's 4th foul. It is for sure the 10th team foul for the Thunderbirds, so this is 2 free throws for DeMar. And again, he connects on a pair. If that's really 4 for Fuenyer, which I don't have reason to doubt the accuracy of the scoreboard, we're probably not going to see him till fourth quarter at least, which is a massive blow to the Thunderbirds. I don't know how we lost track of his personal fouls. He racks up 4 that quickly. And a timeout here on the floor. Take this opportunity to remind you all that Northwest Access TV is a nonprofit organization. If you are enjoying the sports coverage throughout the year, please consider making a donation. You can visit our website, northwestaccess.tv/donation. And as you see the score, 22-10. The Bobwhites on top. There was a good stretch there for MVU, but there's still the fouls and the turnovers. Yeah. They have prevented themselves from developing any positive momentum. Well, whereas BFA, to be fair, hasn't really had a good spurt of momentum, but they have just been consistently avoiding the mistakes that MVU is committing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the second quarter has certainly been less impressive as the first for BFA. That's for sure. And like you said, MVU had that little run, but 2 key fouls to Ian Digby and Ray Fournier really kind of closed the lid on the run that MVU had here. Both of them in foul trouble. Digby with 3 and Fournier, I mean, I guess with 4. I'm going to double check with the book at halftime, but I mean, the 4 is still up there. They haven't corrected it. So, you know, that is certainly going to be some trouble here for MVU. What was going on is BFA didn't come out of the timeout and the referee was waiting for them. So they put the ball down on the ground and started the 5-second count.
And you see how BFA reacted. They sprinted, got the ball inbounds, were able to work it around, and Connor Leach, a 3-pointer, the first 3-ball for BFA of the night, and they lead it by 15. Maybe that was a little spur that they needed.
Couldn't have drawn it up any better.
Luke Fuenyard to the line now for the Thunderbirds.
Guys, let's wait till it's a 2 count. Then run out there and hit a 3.
Nobody will see it coming. Richards, I believe, has 5 rebounds already. Brown getting that rebound and getting fouled immediately by Luno. So Brown going to the line, shooting 2. Luno's got 3 fouls. MVU might run out of players.
Getting thin here for MVU. Yep.
Brown misses a free throw as Desatel checks back into the contest. And there's a free throw that falls for Justin Brown. His first point since his first basket, as Unwin Jackson with a block, preventing that transition breakaway bucket for Connor Leach. 26-10 is our score with 2:13 to play in the second quarter. Well, Thomas DeMar waiting to inbounds as MVU is bringing Caleb Surprise back into the game, replacing Unwin Jackson.
So we just saw, even if your team doesn't have a lot of height, it helps if you have someone who can jump a little bit.
Another 3-pointer launch, no good for Leach. Big rebound, and turning around, charging up the other direction, Luke Fuenyard. Desatel inside. And a charging foul as the shoulder was lowered by Mason Noble. The correct call was made.
Absolutely. You know, it's just thinking, I mean, you know, BFA, MVU, because it's a tough matchup. They've been playing a 2-3 zone for most of the game. BFA just in a straight-up man-to-man. And the reason why is, I mean, Seth Richards is on Taylor Desatel, and there is maybe about a foot difference.
a solid 7 inches.
Yeah,
anyway.
Absolutely.
And Earl started moving before he started dribbling. Turnover for him. Earl hasn't really been able to get his offense going in this contest. MVU will get it in front of their own bench. This is Connor Nielsen. Nielsen, a junior forward, guarded by Brown. Desatel. And a body foul on Seth Richards. I think that's his
third, yep. So that's the first player in foul trouble here for BFA. And if you're MVU, that's the right one to get into foul trouble.
But BFA has been so balanced in this contest. Thomas DeMar is their leading scorer right now with 6 points. Leach has 5. Horrigan has, 8 points. Simple math there.
Not to correct you, Wesley, but I do revel in you being wrong.
My pride can handle it. Another 3, and that's going to Plinko around. Minute 12 on the clock as Unwin Jackson returns, giving Desatel a breather. Desatel worked his tail off over the last couple of exchanges. About as significant a mismatch as you'll see. Running out of options there, but finally finding Luke Fuenyer.
Yeah, moving screen.
And that's the second consecutive offensive foul for Mason Noble. So he's got just 2.
Yeah, he doesn't like the call, but he did kind of lower his shoulder when setting the screen. Refs are going to call that every time.
The Bobwhites have scored just 10 points this quarter, but that's 4 more than their opponents have. It's 26-10 our score. Brown with his back to the basket turns. Got tied up inside and flicked it over and flicking it up. Connor Leach, he's got 7 now. As the home team leads by 18. Luke Fuenyer almost got himself stuck in the corner. 20 seconds on the clock as Surprise looks for options, finds Connor Nielsen. Nielsen from the right side. Tick, tick, goes the clock. 10 seconds now. Nielsen bodied up by Brown. Fuenyer has 5 seconds. 4, goes up top. Nielsen launches it, hits the rim at least, but it does not fall. And after 2 quarters of play, the Bobwhites lead the Thunderbirds by a score of 28-10. Always a hotly anticipated matchup, but Bryce, through 16 minutes, this has been as lopsided as any matchup between these two teams in recent memory.
Yeah, I mean, we think about some of the barn burners and couple, in the last couple of years. You had the game where BFA scored a literal last-second layup to win it at the buzzer off a missed free throw, and then an overtime game as well, and shootouts with multiple players scoring 40, 30, and 20 points in the same game, right? So this one, we might get a little year off here on the excitement level, but either way, it's good to see a full season of basketball back for both teams. It's great to see a crowd here, but the matchups. I think the matchups are a little tough here for MVU. BFA has the height, they have the length, they have the strength. MVU really doesn't have much of any of that. So it's a really tough matchup for MVU. That's what it is.
And we'll see what Matt Walker is able to adjust for his team at halftime to see if they might be able to make this a little more interesting in the second half and maybe make this a memorable matchup after all. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and give you a stat sheet update and get you squared away for the second half right after this, as you are watching Northwest Access TV's coverage of the Bobwhites and the Thunderbirds varsity boys basketball on Northwest Access. Welcome back to continuing coverage of BFA versus MVU boys varsity basketball on Northwest Access TV. Alongside Bryce Batchelder, I'm Wesley Kempton. 28-10 is our halftime score. The Bobwhites leading, and as we get underway in this third quarter, we'd like to once again thank our sponsors: Northwestern Orthopedics, Collins Purley Sports and Fitness Center, Barrett Ford, JC Image, and Handy Toyota. Baseline jumper no good as Luno gets the rebound for the Thunderbirds. And with 4 fouls, interesting to note that Ray Fuenyer is out there. We'd also like to remind you that if you would like to be a sponsor for Northwest Access, continuing coverage of local sports this winter and in years to come. How about that backwards pass that somehow worked out?
Made it.
You can call us at 802-782-8676, or you can visit our website, northwestaccess.tv, and find ways to get in touch. We'd love to have your support. Ray Fuenyer blocked by Justin Brown, goes inside to Luno, almost a no-look shot, and off the face of Ian Digby. But here's the other way. DeMar twirls it around, gets the finish. 30 points for the Bobwhites and 10 points for DeMar. And Earl gets his first bucket of the game, back-to-back lay-in for the Bobwhites.
Off the Connor Leach steal.
Digby, in the face of Giants, cannot get it to fall. In transition again, and another lay-in. Connor Leach, 9 points. A quick half dozen for the Bobwhites. And another turnover for the Thunderbirds. I would not be surprised if we see Coach Matt Walker take a timeout once they get the ball back, but we'll see what the Thunderbirds do, and a steal is a good.
Well, this is where BFA thrives. They've turned this into a fast up and down game. And, I know we're seeing a couple turnovers here, but this is how BFA wins these games. They get the pace of the game going super fast. They find players in transition. They swing the ball. They get the other team discombobulated, as they have done with MVU, makes them rush their passes. So this is the winning formula that BFA is for BFA this year. That's the winning formula. They're doing just that in this game.
And there is, in fact, a timeout, as we expected to see. 2 minutes have been played in this third quarter.
Yeah. BFA is in full control of this game, admittedly. I would be interested to see. I'd really like for MVU to try a different defensive look. They've been in that 2-3 zone for most of the game, and what BFA has been able to do is kind of drive down the middle, get the zone to collapse, and then have one BFA player slip behind the zone, whether that is on the block or and get an open layup, or kind of more on the baseline, just take an open baseline jumper. But Noah Earl is finding that pass every time. And so I'd like to see MVU try a little man-to-man. I know the matchups are tough, but at least something a little bit different to make BFA have to find some different looks.
A holding foul on Connor Leach. That's his first and the team's first. Unwin Jackson launches a 3-ball, which falls. Kind of unexpected there. His first bucket of the game. And that's a big one for the Thunderbirds. They need 7 more of those to equal it up. But their first basket of this third quarter, a 3-pointer. Interesting to note, Bryce, as you see the bounciness of Noah Earl to poke that one and almost get it to fall. MVU has just 5 field goals in this game, 2 of them 3-pointers.
Well, the 3 players for MVU are their leading scorers, all with only 3 points. So a couple 3-pointers, and then you got a free throw and a bucket. Maybe need those 3-pointers to come a little bit earlier in the game.
Unwin Jackson tripped up there and whistled for the travel. Nice pass. Great touch on that one from Noah Earl.
That's one of those
anticipatory.
Well, and over the shoulder to a wide receiver down the sideline type passes.
Caleb Surprise into the contest. It's still somewhat baffling to me, Bryce, that Ray Fuenyer is out there with 4 fouls.
Well,
I suppose if it were a closer contest, it would be different.
Perhaps. But also, I mean, what other options do MVU really have to go with? You need some of your older players out there, and he's a captain. So clearly the coaching staff trusts him, and I guarantee the conversation at halftime with him was, you need to play incredibly smart this second half to not foul out of this game, especially early in the third quarter.
That last offensive look, by the way, for Missisquoi, it was Fuenya going to Luno. Luno could not get the finish, but you love the move that he did, and it was sort of a rare offensive set for MVU where they had a solid look. Whether or not that's enough of the silver lining for them. As Unwin Jackson spins around, goes over to Fuenya, guarded by Brown. Inside to Luno, we'll try it again. Turns around, again, decent look, can't get the finish. As some jockeying for position between Luno, who hits Brown from behind, and I think that's at least the third, maybe the fourth on Luno.
Yep, that's number 4 on him.
So the two captains for the Thunderbirds, Hazen Luno and Ray Fuenya, both with 4 fouls.
The game's out of reach for MVU, so if you're MVU's coach, Matt Walker, you're really trying to use this as some practice in some situations. So even though both Fournier and Luno have 4 fouls, this is great practice for them learning how to play in foul trouble. In case you do have closer games later in the season where they're in foul trouble and you absolutely need them on the floor, this is good practice.
Fuenya just fouled by Brown. The second team foul for the Bobwhites. I believe it was on Brown. They have it updated the scoreboard there to verify. Inside to Desatel, guarded by Yates. Outside to Unwin Jackson. Quick shot. Good touch there. Hit the back of the iron, but softly bounced in. And he is the leading scorer for the Thunderbirds. 5 points for Malachi.
With a foot on the line, a couple inches back a little bit, and would have been a 3.
About 3.5 to play as Yates drives in. Can't quite get the roll, but how about that great putback from William Hughes, the sophomore. It is a 21-point lead again for the Bobwhites, 36-15. Unwin Jackson skips it over to Desatel. Desatel looking inside for Fuenya, but with Richards behind him, it suddenly looks like a much less appealing target. Good body fake for Fuenya. Tried to toss it over to Desatel, stolen by Yates. And if it hadn't been stolen by Yates, it would have been stolen by Richards.
Well, and that's all about defensive positioning right there. Yates didn't have to make an effort for that steal. It was all simply he was in the right spot in his defensive rotations.
Yates trying to get a call that he was illegally boxed out. Well, know for sure if he had an opportunity to really catch up with that ball either way. And a big steal, an easy lay-in for William Hughes. He's got 4 quick points, 23-point lead, 38-15. Quick flick, and there's another 3-ball falls for the Thunderbirds. Caleb Surprise.
That's the other silver lining the Thunderbirds can take here. They've been hitting some threes here tonight.
But if the Bobwhites heat up from 3, then it won't be as satisfying. Isaac Gratton with his first long ball. In fact, that is just the second 3-pointer for BFA, who lead at 41-18 now. Big block for Richards. Noble took way too long to get set and fire that one.
You know, Noble getting we're getting chippy here between Richards and Noble.
And Richards can't get it to finish, and you're right, chippy indeed. He got hit from behind, and he's appealing to the officials.
Yeah, I honestly, I can't believe the refs haven't stepped in here. After that block, you had Noble running down the floor, just throws his shoulder into Richards. And then when they were set up in the corner, Richards started pushing Noble. And that just extended down to when Richards was trying to take that shot and that loose ball. And, I think Matt Walker doing the right thing, taking Noble out of the game. He knew that was getting out of control.
And there was nothing nothing positive that was about to come from that.
Exactly.
William Hughes with 1.5 minutes to play in this third quarter.
But in Noble's defense on that last offensive move, he made a really nice move to get Richards out of position to take that shot. He was just a little slow on the release, which gave Richards some time to catch up and get the block.
Ray Fuenya with a good body fake, but can't get the finish. Richards the rebound. Here come the Bobwhites the other way. Isaac Gratton leading the charge. Can't get the finish, but he does get the foul. It will be the second team foul this half for the Thunderbirds. The first foul, however, on Malachi Unwin-Jackson. Off the front iron goes the free throw attempt for Isaac Gratton. 9 different scorers for the Bobwhites in this game so far. As Gratton gets the roll on the next. 42-18, the home team leads it. Ray Fuenya goes over, and a body foul on Gratton. Bryce King, a senior guard for the Thunderbirds, will check in. Fuenya throws that one away. They say it was not touched, so BFA will inbound it.
Props to BFA's defense, almost forcing a 5 seconds, and instead forcing a off-target pass.
The official struggled to reel in the pass from the other official there. Richards, I think, just got fouled there, but it's amazing. Oftentimes, big players tend to not get the same sort of calls that a smaller player might. Unwin-Jackson might have taken a shot to the face there. Goes down awkwardly.
Yeah, that was... there's a lot of contact on just about every aspect of that play.
Noble returning to the game. Fuenya drives in, can't get the finish, gets his own rebound and fouled. I believe Gratton's going to be called for it. That was close.
I'm wondering if the ball touched anything.
Well, that's interesting.
So I'm not sure Fournier should really have been allowed to touch the ball.
It at least hit the backboard, didn't it?
I don't know if it did. Either way, it doesn't matter what I think. He's shooting free throws.
Fuenya with his first point of the game. The foul, by the way, was on Isaac Gratton, his third, team's 5th. And the rebound to Liam Horrigan. Hughes.
That's Horrigan's 5th rebound of the game, by the way.
Fuenya poked that ball loose, got it back, and with under 20 seconds, we'll see if the Thunderbirds can cut into this lead a little bit. They're down 42-19. A three-pointer launched. A three-pointer falls for Connor Nielsen. The 4th long ball for the Thunderbirds. And the other way, a three-pointer rims out for the Bobwhites. Thrown up and almost falling. Ray Fuenya. Desperation did not fall, and instead it's 42-22. You mentioned a moment ago the silver lining for the Thunderbirds. Their long balls have been falling okay. It's also worth noting, as I had pointed out a little bit ago, that 9 different scorers have contributed for the Bobwhites. 8 scorers for the Thunderbirds.
Yeah, I mean,
8 scorers, 22 points.
Well, I mean, the scoring has been really spread out for both teams, which, I mean, is something that you like to see in terms of ball movement and folks getting different opportunities. We'll give you some scoring leaders here. Thomas DeMar leads all players in the game with 10 points. Connor Leach has 9. And for the Thunderbirds, Malachi Unwin-Jackson leads their team with 5. And then you have Hazen Luno, Colin Nielsen, Mason Noble, and Caleb Surprise with 3 apiece. I think rebounding is another story here where the Bobwhites have really dominated the Thunderbirds. Team rebounds, they've out-rebounded the Thunderbirds 20-13. Liam Harrigan leading them with 5 rebounds, and Charlie Yates with 4. The surprising thing here tonight is, for me, 2 things: that Noah Earl and Seth Richards have not really gotten it going in this game.
Yeah, they each have just 2 points.
Which, I mean, I suppose is also a silver lining for the Bobwhites, that neither of those guys have gotten it going, and yet they have this commanding lead.
Hazen Luno with an offensive rebound and the putback. That's his 2nd field goal. He has 5 points now.
And one of the other silver linings for the Thunderbirds is their 2 senior captains, Ray Fournier and Hazen Luno, able to play the 3rd quarter with 4 personal fouls and not picking up their 5th. So they've made it here to the 4th quarter, and again, I think the challenge that the coaches have to give them is just, we want to see how smart you can play this second half to not foul out of this game.
What's impressive to me about Fournier in particular is that, I'm not sure what that call was. A loose ball foul, off ball foul rather, on Luke Fournier, while he was trying to outmuscle Noah Earl and company. Finishing my thought, Bryce, Ray Fournier, his defensive intensity does not seem to have waned at all, or at least didn't in that 3rd quarter. He was still effective with 4 fouls. We'll see how he does matched up against Seth Richards. And Seth Richards also on foul watch here. But they go to him. And behind Richards, Caleb Surprise reaches in and is going to be called for the foul.
But props to Ray Fournier. He held his hands straight up that whole time and did not reach down.
With Richards at the line. We'll remind you again that Northwest Access TV is a nonprofit organization. And if you are enjoying the coverage that we bring you throughout the year, you're allowed to make a donation. You can consider a donation and go to our website to learn more and to begin the process. It's northwestaccess.tv/donation. 6:45 to play in the 4th quarter. 42-24 is your score. The home team has been on top since the onset. Luno over to Malachi Unwin-Jackson. Not going anywhere. Loses it. Earl, pass up ahead. 1 dribble and a finish for Connor Leach. Leach with 11 points now, the leading scorer in the game.
I was just thinking, Wes, I'm glad we don't have our player of the game t-shirts yet, because this game has been so evenly spread for the Bobwhites that I would honestly have a hard time just picking one player to single out for the team. This has been a very good team win, kind of team execution here for the Bobwhites.
Assuming results hold.
Assuming results hold.
Oh, that sort of frenetic ball handling for the Bobwhites. They get it through, and with 5:35 to play in the 4th, they go over to Richards up top.
The other thing to consider is that as 2 MVU alumni on the call, maybe I was trying the reverse jinx. So I hope that works.
Oh, Luno gets a hard fall, and Earl called for the offensive foul. you can see his frustration as he has not been able to get any offensive momentum personally. Luno hit the hard fall as he was not expecting Richards to be running up court behind him, knocked him over, and those two sorted their differences, it seems. Luno pretty even-keeled, about as much as you will see anybody at this level. And there was no ill intent, by the way, from Richards that we could discern. Travel for Luno.
Yeah. Matt Walker had the same exact thought that I did watching that play. Saw Malachi Unwin-Jackson cut down to the block, and then when the ball went over to that side, he ran out to the three-point line. Matt Walker telling him, no, keep cutting inside. Give the team a look down there.
Bobwhites over to Earl. Earl from the right elbow extended. Looking inside to Richards. Richards shifted his feet. Frustrated with the call, a turnover for him. Luno's going to take a quick break for the Thunderbirds as Connor Nielsen checks back in. Another steal and no finish. Earl, the putback will not fall. His frustration now seems mostly to be with himself. And he just missed another layup, but he'll be at the line with a chance to get 2 free throws here. They're free.
And their throws. Connor Leach has 4 steals on the night. Fun fact.
Earl gets the first free throw. Desatel into the game, replacing Caleb Surprise. And good touch on the second one as well for Noah Earl. Nielsen, guarded by Brown. It went towards Malachi Unwin-Jackson. It was poked by Thomas DeMar, and a big break for the Thunderbirds that they did not lose that ball.
4.5 to go, up 22. BFA is still throwing on the full court press.
Early in the season, I think there's a certain aspect to it that you want your players to start to build up that stamina that you're sure is not quite there yet. Good inside pass to Unwin-Jackson. Got both players to jump, but could not get the finish. And there's an inside feed to Seth Richards. He is not going to miss from that close. He only has 4 points in this game. .1/12 of his team's total. Kind of a knuckleball there, no spin at all. Offensive rebound for the Thunderbirds. They kick it around, back outside. Unwin-Jackson in the corner. Tight defense. Tries to get some space, but picks up his dribble. Finds Surprise. Surprise also picks up his dribble. Kind of a lane for Unwin-Jackson. Lowered his shoulder. Could not get the floater. And here come the Bobwhites the other way. And nice try for Richards, but another offensive rebound bails him out. 3:23 to play in the fourth. And here's a 3 ball. In and out. Unwin-Jackson to board. Luke Fuenier. Timeout being called for by Matt Walker. Granted as well. 3:01 on the clock.
During this timeout, we'd like to remind everybody of the winter sports coverage on Northwest Access TV for the rest of this week. 2 games tomorrow that we'll be covering. Girls basketball, Fairfax at MVU at 7 o'clock, and another girls basketball game, Spalding at BFA at 7:30. So you can come right here on Northwest Access TV's Facebook page, and we'll be live streaming both of those games for you.
A lot of breaks in sporting action around the holidays, but glad that we're able to get a lot for you this week in particular. And I know there's a certain amount of, Bryce, you had talked about how much better this game would have been if it were later in the season, but there's a lot of excitement from the student section. This was their last day of class before break, and likewise, a 7:30 midweek game. It sort of feels like prime time.
Well, is this like the NBA Christmas Day games?
This is like,
is that it?
The closest thing we have to it.
Because that's the real start of the NBA season.
Three-pointer for Desautels, close but no cigar, as Earl, ambitious forward pass. And a loose ball foul on the Thunderbirds. It'll be the 6th team foul. Love the aggressiveness as a steal forced and then a turnover unforced. Luke Fuenyer, the senior guard, was the one who forced the issue. And that's a senior leading by example. About 2 minutes to go in a game which you are doubled up in score. And he's still out there fighting by the timeline, forcing turnovers. A little less urgency for the Bobwhites as Earl tries a three-pointer off the front iron. Rebound to Fuenyer. On the right side, curling around, he finds Desautels. And a bad pass. Jumper, and good touch there from the sophomore William Hughes. He's got a half dozen. 1:30 to play. Ray Fuenyer.
So we'll say props to Ray Fournier on this second half. He had 4 fouls in the first half. And 1:17 left to go in this game. And he has not fouled out.
And here we see some reserves checking in for the Bobwhites. Some names that we haven't yet called in this game, though some playing double duty. James Harrison, you see number 50. Logged a few JV minutes. Fuenyer shooting 1 and 1. Can't get the first, and there's a big rebound from Damon Tipton, number 14. And a collision, Tipton and Luno. They both get back up okay. Another player with a lot of fouls, Ian Digby for MVU number 11. He's back out there. Under a minute to play. Tipton going over to the left side, finds Dakota Rye. He's being guarded by Luke Fuenyer. Rye goes outside, and here's a three-pointer launch. No good. Tipton pushed while jumping for the rebound. We saw that entire BFA bench jumping to their feet when James Harrison launched that three. They were hoping they would have exploded for that. And finally, Ray Fuenyer has fouled out. Played 15 minutes, 15 seconds in the second half before he picked up foul number 5. He'll be replaced by Mason Noble to finish out the contest. Tipton with a free throw. And the list of players who have scored continues to grow.
And clearly a crowd favorite.
Couldn't get the second. Digby in transition, loses it. It's as if he knew there were 4 defenders right on him. Tipton has it stripped away. Luno, 3 defenders around him, loses the ball. 20 seconds. 51-24 is our score. The Bobwhites on top. They have been, since the beginning, scored the first 6 points of the game. And at this point, Tipton's going to let the clock trickle down. And BFA gets the big win over the rival. 51-24, the final score.
Give you some scoring leaders for the game. Connor Leach led all players with 11. Thomas DeMar with 10. William Hughes also with 6. And for the Thunderbirds, Hazen Luno and Malachi Unwin-Jackson led their team each with 5. And this is really a story of BFA just overpowering MVU. Just a really rough matchup for MVU to try to match up with defensively and offensively. BFA is just kind of the more athletic and taller and bigger team. So, you know, where last year MVU really had a real shot at a run with their 3-headed monster, this year I think it's BFA's turn to see what they can do here. But either way, we're glad to see these 2 teams playing and to be able to have a packed house to watch it happen.
As always, we thank you for tuning in from your homes. And if you would like to contribute to continuing sports coverage, again, visit northwestaccess.tv/donation. Our videographer tonight, Megan Buckley. Alongside Bryce Batchelder, I have been, continue to be, and always hope to be Wesley Kempton. Go to northwestaccess.tv for continuing coverage information. And also, a final time, we want to recognize our sponsors, Northwestern Orthopedics, Collins Pearly Sports and Fitness Center, Barrett Ford, JC Image, and Handy Toyota. For more information about our sponsors and how you can become one, again, northwestaccess.tv, or give us a call at 802-782-8676. The final score for the final time, BFA 51, MVU 24. From St. Albans, so long, everybody.